This week's episode of 86 Charles is brought to you by Amazon. Go to 86charles.com and click on the Amazon link before you do your shopping. In the year of our great reptilian overlord, 2016.
Sometimes it's hard to deal with anticipating something you're looking forward to, but it's important to remember that sometimes the wanting is more satisfying than the actual obtaining. It's important to remember that looking forward to something is almost as valuable as the thing that you're going to get at the end of the anticipation.
Hi, this is Charles. You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
And with that, welcome to 86 Charles. Travis Spencer, I've missed you.
John Derby. That feeling is completely mutual. It's been such a long week without you, of course.
I don't think a week goes by that I don't have to answer at least once, "How's Travis? Do you talk to Travis?" And I say yes every week, and it's highly overrated.
Isn't that what the wanting is? Like, you want to hear people ask about me.
I
so
anticipate
that's what your whole anticipation is, right?
The day that
Every
I
day.
don't have to answer that question anymore. When you tuck your tail between your legs and move back to the city.
I'm pretty sure as long as you are living and breathing, people will ask you about me.
I have never thought suicide sounded so good.
That's your only way
That
out.
sounds
That is your
terrible.
only way out. So what is this anticipation coming from, sir? Explain this to me.
I will be purposely vague, but I think change is afoot.
Oh, you're moving to the desert.
No. I'm not. Well, I'm going to say no, but you actually never know. But I'm going to say
never
I'm going to say
know.
probably not
that is
moving to
true.
the desert. But I think change is
Are
afoot,
you?
and I should
That's
find
good.
out soon.
Are you going to start working at a trailer park?
Ooh. Again, I'm going to say no, but I'm not going to rule it out. Because I know at some point
sorry,
you're
your
going to need someone to take over out there.
We never received your application and got lost in the mail. I'm sorry, John Derby. You can be an innkeeper. You can't even start a fire.
I would be
You have to be able to start a
terrible
fire
at
to
that
be an
job.
innkeeper.
Terrible.
You'd be afraid. Man, the first rattlesnake you saw, you would run
No, I've seen rattlesnakes
run
before.
so fast. Oh, what'd you do? Make a friend?
What's that?
What'd you do? Make a friend with it?
No.
Did you whisper to it?
No. You don't make friends with
Did you murder it?
rattlesnakes?
Did you
Get
kill
the
it?
hell out of there. I did not kill it, no.
See, that's what I'm saying. And then you wouldn't eat it either.
It was not necessary. It was fine where it was, and I was fine where I was, and I put greater distance between us. I think we both appreciated it.
Wow, you are like a shaman. You and the snakes of the earth, you're all just on the same page. Huh?
Here's what I know. I have never been bitten by a snake. So as far as I'm concerned, I have done everything right when it comes to snakes.
That's pretty good. I'll give you that. I mean,
Because I've seen
long
snakes,
as you don't
plenty
get
of them.
bitten by one.
Plenty of snakes. Never once been bitten.
are you talking about a euphemism? Is this are we talking about something else?
God, no. What is the matter with you?
Just you got real serious for a second there. I was just afraid you were talking about something else.
I'm actually talking. I thought I was
Talking about
fairly
snakes,
casually talking about snakes.
There was just a slight inflection change where I thought maybe something else was going on. I just wanted to check. It's cool. I'm not judging.
There is definitely. I'm not going to say that there's a wire crossed, but you have a short in one of the wires in your brain.
That's possible.
Like it flickers. I think it's a flickering thing.
Yeah, I just flip, and I don't know which side I was on. I get lost. It's weird. It's weird, man. It's weird. All right, moving on. What else? What else you
No,
got?
I think that's it. I'm looking forward to moving on.
My wire lit up again. I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, sorry, I had another flicker.
What are the three greatest podcasts of all time? 86 Charles. 86 Charles. 86 Charles. They spit hot fire!
Let's get ready to 86 Charles!
Oh, you never see this firebomb coming at you.
Done, you piece of shit.
Nah. Nickel, what? 5 topics currently trending. Travis,
Yes, sir.
give me a survey.
There's a mandatory online course at USC asking its students to disclose the number of sexual encounters they've had. Many universities require something like this. It's a course on Title IX, but some students at USC are worried that the online course they are required to take is too intrusive. Some of the questions include, what percentage of your peers do you think has sex, including oral, at least once a month? How many times have you had sex, including oral, in the last 3 months? With how many different people have you had sex, including oral, in the last 3 months? If you had sex, including oral, in the last 3 months, how many times had you been drinking alcohol? And it goes on and on and on. This is so stupid. I don't...
Was this questionnaire written by a freshman trying to figure out who to invite to a party?
What's going on with colleges right now, man? It's really bizarre. Everything's becoming so PC that this is coming out.
I just don't, it would need to be explained to me why that's relevant to the course.
I think that they're trying to obviously red flag people who might have unhealthy behaviors according to them, and then they're going to offer them counseling or something like that. Like, I don't know. They're trying to...
But is it just for people taking
to
that
solve
one
a problem
specific course?
Well, you have to take this course in order to register. So it's like every student has to take
Okay.
it.
That still doesn't make sense.
Just seems like a bit much. And the first thing I think of is that kids, if I was 18 and I got this, I would just fuck with it. Like, it doesn't, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know? It's strange.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
All right, let's move on.
Moving on.
Already over it.
North Korea. Footage released last week by North Korea purporting to show the firing of a submarine-launched ballistic missile appears to be fake, according to studies by U.S. experts. In defiance of a UN ban, North Korea has said it has ballistic missile technology, which would allow it to launch a nuclear warhead from a submarine, though analysis of North Korean state media images cast doubt on the claim. So apparently they don't have quite the technology that they claim to, and apparently South Korea's military said on Saturday North Korea appeared to have modified the video and edited it with Scud missile footage from 2014.
I love these stories. North Korea's best ally is their video editors.
Yeah, that's just... I mean, I guess I get it, wanting to make it seem like you can do something that you can't. But if you do that, and that upsets us or someone else, and then they decide to call you on it, and you can't do it, didn't you just put yourself in a bad spot?
Yeah, but we know that they're a joke, and it's basically for their people, so that their people believe that have all the technology and all the great stuff that the rest of the world does, so they don't, like, that's what it is. It's propaganda. It's for their people as much as it is trying to scare us.
And I assume that people over there will never see an article such as this.
Exactly. I mean, you know who we need to talk to, though? You know who knows?
Oh, Dennis.
About this. The Worm. Yeah, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, of course.
He can set us straight, so cool. We'll talk to the Worm about this one. Until then, we don't really need to discuss it any longer.
Yeah, we're good to go.
All right. What do you know about bionic penises?
Not enough.
So Mohammed Abad, the 43-year-old virgin with a bionic penis, had to postpone his date to lose his virginity with a London sex worker after he got in a car crash. So imagine if you're 43, you never had sex, he got in a terrible car wreck when he was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And it, I don't know if it ripped off, but it definitely affected his penis and his testicle in a way that he could never have sex. So he had dreams of having sex with this London sex worker named Charlotte Rose, and she was honored to be his first to take his virginity. She was going to bang him for free, and the poor guy got in an accident, so he had to postpone losing his virginity.
Kind of feel like the fates are conspiring against that guy.
Somebody doesn't want him to have sex.
That's what I'm saying. You have to feel like the world doesn't want you to have sex. It's been preventing you since you were 6 years old.
At what point he just stopped trying, John Derby?
Never.
At what point he just stopped?
There's no more worthy quest that you could spend a life trying to achieve. So I don't begrudge him for that.
I think they got me.
I just feel bad
So
that
it says
the world's against him.
Right. It does say so. He's a divorce security guard. Pretty sure if I never had sex and I couldn't have sex, I'd be like a rocket scientist.
Right.
Like a security guard. Come on, Muhammad. Like, I'm not judging. I'm an innkeeper, obviously. But, like, a lot of chasing tail. Maybe, I mean, you know what? Maybe he was chasing. I take it all back. He was still chasing. He just couldn't have sex.
Yeah.
Right? With his penis. So there's other ways to do it.
I just feel there's
But
not really a silver
security
lining
guard?
in this story. Other than the London sex worker who was so amped.
Charlotte Rose.
Yeah.
Other than Charlotte Rose is the silver lining.
Good on
So,
you, Charlotte
The rose
Rose.
lining. All right, let's move on.
Moving on. Forehead teeth? A hunter recently crossed paths with a rare cat. A mountain lion with extra teeth and white whiskers on the top of its head. This is coming out of the Idaho Department of Fish and Game. So a hunter spotted a young male mountain lion attack a dog on private property. He then hunted the mountain lion for 3 hours before legally harvesting it. The mountain lion had fully formed canine teeth and small whiskers growing out of fur-covered tissue on the left side of its forehead. It's unclear what caused the unusual growth, but a state biologist offered 2 ideas. The teeth could be remains of a conjoined twin that died in the womb but was absorbed by the surviving fetus, or it is a teratoma tumor, which are masses filled with teeth, hair, and sometimes even fingers and toes. Blah. It's a pretty gross picture.
It is. There's some bloody teeth coming out of a... Is that where you got shot? Like, why is there blood all over the teeth?
Could have been from the dog attack. Maybe the dog got in a couple shots.
That's right. That's right. It is. Yeah, it's pretty grisly. It
Kind of. It doesn't look like that's where
go
it
either
got
way.
shot. I think that it looks like that's a different injury.
Right. You got to look at it. Just Google forehead teeth mountain lion.
Yeesh.
But yeah, I could go either way. It could be a tumor, or it looks like a bottom jaw. Like it could go either way.
Yeah.
I really think it could be either thing.
I would have to, if I had to guess, I would go with tumor. But man, that thing is pretty gruesome looking.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this.
Yeah,
It's
no,
bizarre.
that's all there is to say.
You have to look at the picture.
It's really more to drive people to go look for the picture.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Done.
Finally, we're going to your favorite place, John Derby.
Yep.
A Buddhist monk, 61 years old, was attacked and robbed as he bought lottery tickets at a Philadelphia gas station. Nice work, Philly. We got another one for you.
The Illadelph strikes again.
Right. The video shows a shocking moment. A Buddhist monk was robbed as he bought lottery tickets at a gas station in Philly. A 61-year-old victim was purchasing tickets from a machine at a Sunoco store when a black man approached him and snatched his wallet along with $350. Surveillance footage shows the monk, who was wearing orange robes, insert cash in the lottery machine. Yeah, you can't punk a Buddhist monk. I mean, just doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right.
Here's the thing. We're not picking on Philly because crime happens everywhere, especially in this country. I get that. Totally understand.
Right.
It's not that people don't get robbed everywhere. I get that. But Philly, it always seems like, yeah, they robbed somebody, but they used a baby to rob them with. It's always just like a slightly worse version of a story.
Or
It's not enough to rob somebody and take their lottery tickets and money, which is fine. That happens everywhere. But it's a Buddhist monk who's 60 years old.
Hitchbot, Popebot, a monk.
Seriously.
Like, come on, Philly. Like, we understand the 76ers suck. They're not going to be good anytime. The Eagles are terrible. I mean, there's a lot going on.
I wonder if there
that's
is a
wrong with
direct
Philly.
correlation
The
to
Roots
crime
left.
and the 76ers not being good at basketball. Has the
It
crime
would
rate
make
gone
sense.
down since Ish Smith got there?
I'm sure it has. Ish and Elton Brand and Mike D'Antoni. Well, Allen Iverson's broke, right? Allen Iverson's bankrupt as well.
I don't think he's robbing monks.
Well, I mean, that just like so their whole memory of a good.
Are you
basketball
implying that it
team-
was Allen Iverson who robbed this guy?
Allen Iverson needed $350, so yeah. it
If
was Allen
that's the
Iverson
story, scratch everything I've ever said about Philly. I'm moving there because it's now the coolest place I've ever heard.
That would be hilarious.
Unless I can move
That
to
would be-
Chicago and get carjacked by Scottie Pippen, I'm moving to Philly to get robbed by Iverson. He didn't even use a
just-
gun. He
you
just
know,
broke his ankles.
left him with his shorts on the floor.
Crossed him up in that orange robe.
Oh,
He stood
man.
no chance.
That's enough.
All right. Stay classy, Philly.
Anticipation. Finish your bruising, finish your blunts, man. Anticipation. Everybody in the back, move your ass to the front. Anticipation. We on the stage, we ready to rock, man. Anticipation. Deep cave records, so we f*** it up.
Let's see.
Jesse's favorite part of the show.
From last week.
Hello, folks.
For being such a stickler about the date the year of the Red Fire Monkey begins, Travis doesn't give much of a crap about the presidential term. And I honestly wouldn't have even noticed. And if I had, I would have just chalked it up to a small oversight. But he was just so specific in combating Derby's declaration that we had entered the year of the Red Fire Monkey, carefully outlining that the Fire Monkey's year does not necessarily coincide with our familiar calendar. Then, not 2 minutes later, he asks, who's going to be the president at the end of the year? Derby says Bernie Sanders, Travis says Trump. But sorry guys, it's not yet the year of the Red Fire Monkey. The president at the end of the year, barring tragedy, is going to be one Barack Obama. There will be a president-elect who may be any number of fine folks, perhaps Bernie Sanders, perhaps Donald Trump, or perhaps Star Wars. But the sitting president, with the power to president on January 1st, 2017, will be Mr. Obama. And it did make me wonder, though, why does the Chinese year begin so much later than our year? I decided not to Google it, and instead just assume it was because of the time difference. 2016, off to a good start. And or, Year of the Goat, off to a good ending. This is Jesse, and having no idea what year it is, or will be, was my favorite part of last week's podcast.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
Now the waiting, anticipating, rockabye, I'm gonna be a daddy now.
It's time for the failed athlete perspective. Travis.
Oh, so excited. Got big news.
Huge news.
Your St. Louis Rams are moving to Los Angeles. Your St. Louis Rams.
No, the Rams are moving to my Los Angeles.
My Los Angeles. So now you're gonna be a Rams fan from now on, right?
No. Sticking with the
Oh,
Cardinals.
that's
Are you
weird.
crazy?
Yeah, why would anybody want to be a Rams fan? You have to already be there. Like, you know.
If I didn't have a team, or if they were opposite conference, then they would be my number 2 team. But they're a division rival.
And just who cares about the Rams? Todd Gurley. That's kind
I'm
of
glad it was the
exciting.
Rams, though. That was the one team that I wanted it to be for sure.
Well, it still might be 2. The Chargers might be coming too, but they have a year to decide, essentially.
Chargers are
Correct.
pending, and if they back out, Oakland could still get back in.
I think the Raiders kind of fit in L.A. I'm okay with that.
I wanted it to be Raiders and Rams. Keep
I like the
keep
idea
the
of
Chargers
LA
in San
Raiders, yeah.
Diego.
Right, like it was. I mean, Oakland, I think, needs a team.
No,
so
they've got the
either way.
Niners. It's fine.
Yeah, you're right. The Bay doesn't need 2. It's not big enough.
Right,
LA is
they don't
big
need
enough
that.
for 2 teams. But
No Cal can have one team. They'll be fine.
I just hate either of those teams, and I also won't ever go to a game in Los Angeles because it's going to be a nightmare. So I mean, I guess I'd be interested in seeing the new stadium because it's going to be state of the art. I'm sure it's going to be
the new
insane.
stadium in
Huge.
Inglewood's going to be awesome, but we're a few years away from that.
Right. And Inglewood's not too bad of an area. It's okay. I haven't hung out there too much, but there's definitely worse parts of town.
From what I heard, it's always up to no good.
Well, that's what they say.
That's
but that
word
was
on
the
the
90s,
street.
so that was different. That was the 90s. That was different.
Hey, end of the day, I'm glad LA's got football back. I still think that's a good thing.
Oh, man. All right, but which game do you want to start with? You want to start with the Bengals blowing that game? You want to start with the Vikings blowing that game?
Yeah, let's start with the least exciting. Let's start with Redskins-Packers.
That was more exciting than Kansas City-Houston.
Oh, yeah, fair point. I
Or are we not
forgot
even, we
about that game
talk about
entirely.
that. You're right. You're
As
right.
did
It
the
was over
Texans.
from the opening kickoff. It was over.
No,
So,
there's nothing to say
talk
about that.
there.
Chiefs, boat race.
Packers,
done.
Redskins. Aaron Rodgers looked good, but are you scared if you're a
Nope.
Cardinals fan?
Nope.
Nope.
Not one bit.
Not in the slightest.
Not one
They
bit.
beat them down too much. Washington hasn't beat a winning team all year, so great. You can look good against the Redskins.
Yeah, no, not one
Go
bit.
ahead. Have fun. Have a blast.
Not
All
afraid of
right,
Green Bay. I'd feel worse if Cardinals had to go to Green Bay. I'd feel like
Right. Yeah, but at home,
But yeah, no.
shouldn't be a
Nope,
problem.
not worried about that.
There's
Double-digit win. Yeah.
John Derby, can you kick a 27-yard field goal?
Nope.
You couldn't?
I doubt
I
it.
can kick a 27-yard field goal.
I don't know.
I mean, I'll probably
I don't want to say I could. I don't know if I've ever tried, to be honest. But under
I'd probably be
pressure,
about 50%.
with a frozen ball, laces in, I'm not going to put money on me
Lace.
to do that.
Laces out, Dan. Laces out. That was pretty brutal.
That game
I
was
didn't think it
brutal.
was happening. I thought Seattle was going to lose for sure. It was just so cold, man. Nobody could move the ball.
Yeah. No one could. You can't move your fingers. How are you supposed to move the ball?
Yeah, I wouldn't. The cold. I'm not a big fan of the cold. No thanks.
Best part of that
No
game
thanks.
was
I
that
don't want
80-year-old
Don't play
dude
that.
with no sleeves on. That guy was dope.
He's a monster.
Goes out there in
I
just
mean,
a polo shirt.
essentially-
That's gangster.
Pretty crazy that Russell Wilson won it on that one stupid play where he dropped the
nah,
ball. Like,
whatever.
it's pretty
I'm
awesome
so
to lean
sick
down
of
and
the
pick it
Russell
up
Wilson
and make that
narrative.
pass. It was a good play. You got to give him credit.
I don't know who I'm more like. I wish there could be a way that the Panthers and the Seahawks could both lose. Let's have Seattle win, but Russell Wilson tear an ACL.
I would rather beat the Panthers. I would rather go.
I just
in
want Seattle
and
to
beat
come
the
back into
Panthers.
Arizona and taste our fist,
Stomp 'em.
since they handed it to us 2 weeks ago.
How you like the taste? But that game didn't even matter. So who cares? Who
It
cares?
does matter. A loss matters, especially when they come into your house and hand it to you like that.
No, not when it's the last game of the playoffs or the regular season, and you're just trying to stay.
And I
home.
wanted their
Doesn't-
last memory of that stadium to be the worst decision they've ever made in the biggest game they've ever played. And now it's the
Starting
fact
all
that they
your
came in and
players.
beat us by 30. That's their last memory.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right, finally the last game, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. That was a pretty crazy
Pretty
game.
crazy game. Complete meltdown by the Bengals. They bangled it up.
I can't believe they were so stupid.
Yeah,
down
you
the
can.
stretch. Like, yeah, they do it every year.
Right before
They
the
find a way to
playoffs
lose a
started, if they
playoff
said
game
there's going to be a
every
team
year.
that has an emotional meltdown that cost them the game, what team do you think it's going to be?
Oh, it's gonna be the Cincinnati
There you
Bengals.
go.
Little brother meltdown. I thought for a minute that AJ McCarron was gonna win a game with Dalton on the sideline. I thought that was pretty funny. But
Not if you're Andy Dalton.
Vontez perfect. You got perfected. Perfected.
The results were perfect.
So Roethlisberger has a torn ligament, right, in his non-throwing shoulder, I believe.
No, it should be his
So-
throwing shoulder. It was that right
his
shoulder
throwing
that hit
shoulder?
the ground. That's why he couldn't throw
So
it
is
at
he-
all.
Right? Is he gonna play?
Oh, no, he's playing. He's likely,
So he's
but maybe slightly limited.
Brown is
Antonio Brown, they said,
questionable,
doesn't
right?
look good.
that was a pretty nasty hit.
That
It's
was
pretty
gnarly.
scary.
That was gnarly.
And then do you see Pac-Man Jones come out and said he faked it? He winked at
That's
him.
a stupid thing to say ever.
That's some
Especially when a guy gets hit in the head that hard.
Right. It's not right.
But he said that if he does miss the game, that he'll take it back.
Right. We'll see. We'll see.
What an act of
think,
contrition, Pac-Man.
I think the NFL really wants Antonio Brown to play that game.
Everyone does.
So that's the last game. Of course, yeah. You want your team to be at the best.
Of course.
But
I don't want anyone
and
to ever
Pittsburgh
get hurt
needs-
unless you're Jay Cutler, Cam Newton, and Russell Wilson. And even that, I
Man.
just say out of being an angry sports fan. I don't really want anyone to ever get hurt.
except for Jay Cutler.
Except for Jay
I mean, he
Cutler.
was really
Except for Jay Cutler. If he lost a toe in a
Right.
game, that'd be the coolest thing I ever saw.
All right. So, wait. Who guessed all 4 of these games correctly? Was it me or you?
Yeah,
I
it was
forget.
you, and it was a guess.
Oh, based on we had the same picks other than the Packers. I took the Packers. You had the Redskins.
Yeah.
Don't you overthought it? Come on, man. You totally overthought
Nah, I
it. You're
agree.
like, oh well, Washington's playing good. No, Aaron Rodgers is way better than Kirk Cousins.
I agree.
That's all there is to it. And that's like I said, that's the only thing that kind of scares me about this week.
But
let's get your picks.
we
Let's
had
get your
5 picks total, and we both went 4 for 5.
Is there a what 5th pick are you talking
National
about? Probably a
championship,
sport that doesn't
scrub.
matter. Oh, college football, the thing that nobody cares about. Yeah.
Except for all the people
Clemson-
that make so much money off of it.
Clemson lost to Alabama. Big surprise. I just wanted a game. At least it was a game.
That was a good
I was
game.
excited that it was a game.
And Clemson swung
Clemson
$10
almost
million
pulled it out.
in the last second.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
That's what they said. When that game went from 12 to 5, it swung $10 million because Clemson covered. Because it was a 6 or a 6.5 point spread.
Yeah. It was,
Imagine
must
you
have
had
gone
money
down.
on Clemson and you're like, please score. Or you have money on Alabama and you just got to just keep them out of the end zone. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, that happens every week. Every week.
That's crazy.
Especially with playoffs. Think about
But that's
all
a big game.
there's
You
so
know,
much-
a lot of people are watching that. You know, there's a lot of money
Yeah.
on that. That's a big
course.
game. And that's a
Of course,
big
anytime
swing.
there's a finish like that, backdoor cover is what you call that. That's a backdoor cover, buddy.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to this week. Our picks: Kansas City and New England's first game up. Who you got?
New England.
Patriots.
No
I'm not
disrespect to
afraid of
Kansas
Alex
City,
Smith.
though. Actually, I don't know if they're going to have Macklin, but even if they do, I don't think they can generate enough offense.
I think it was just a sprain, so he should be fine. But
Well, it was a high
it's-
ankle sprain,
this is,
though.
Right. Yeah, guys missed a couple weeks, but it's the playoffs. They always find a way in these games. This is one of those. Don't overthink it. You take Brady
Yeah.
over Alex Smith.
You know, it's
Who do you trust
when
in the
you-
fourth
you-
quarter? You know,
When do you go against the Patriots in Foxborough? The answer is almost never.
you don't. We've both got New England. The next game is the Cardinals and the Packers. I think we're both taking the Cardinals, right? We already talked about this one. a
I
little
said
bit.
double-digit win. Do you support that?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
And I think they're good. Cardinals are actually going to be favored by 7. I might even take Packers with the points, but I think Arizona's going to
So
win.
one of
but
us
in a
bleeds
close game.
Redbird, and the other one is on the fence and loves Aaron Rodgers. Got it.
No, someone knows football better than the other
No,
one.
I got
you
it.
can figure it
Fair
out.
enough.
All right, next game: Seattle and Carolina. Oh man, I think this is a 3-point spread.
This is tough. Because I feel like if I want you to actually go first. I want you to go first this time.
I'm going with Carolina. I don't think Seattle's really all that good. I think they kind of got lucky down the stretch, but we saw last week. That's the recipe. That's the recipe that the Rams beat them with. Minnesota plays good defense. I mean,
No,
obviously
the recipe
cold
was
had a
negative
huge
6
factor.
degrees. You kind of got to throw
Yeah.
that out. Because we saw
Patriots
in
got
neutral
good
weather
D.
what they really did to the Vikings.
Josh Norman's going to shut down Baldwin, so then you got Lockett, who's been good, and Curse to beat him. I don't know if I trust those guys in a big game. We'll see. Lockett's a pretty big game player so far, but he's young.
So this is where our
I can't
paths
vote against
diverge
Cam.
then. Because I'm going to go take Seattle then.
All right. And finally, we got Pittsburgh and Denver. This is the reunion of the Tim Tebow game. Maybe the greatest game in the NFL history. That was an awesome game. Come on. Don't you remember?
Yeah, no, I remember it. I very clearly remember it. I was surprised and kind of happy, but kind of, God, I don't want to hear about Tebow anymore.
So weird. Right. And it turned out to be that wasn't his last start, was it?
No, not his last start, but the last thing he did of
He got
consequence.
traded. Right. Yeah, he never played a
Well,
big
he started
game
the next
again.
week against New England, so obviously it wasn't his last.
Right. Who you got? Pittsburgh or Denver?
I'm taking Denver. I don't care who's at quarterback for them. I think Pittsburgh's going to run out of juice.
Right. I got to agree. I don't think with those injuries especially.
Yeah. No D'Angelo,
Just a
no
torn
Antonio.
ligament. Come on. And I know earlier this season I was ready to put what's his name? Oh, Landry Jones. Is it Landry Jones?
Greatest quarterback in the world.
I was ready to put him in the Hall of Fame after he beat the Cardinals, but I'm pulling back on the reins a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and say Denver in this game.
Yeah.
All right.
Long Babby is a bloody wanker.
Oh, mama! Aaron Baines with the power dunk. 81-65. It only counts 2, but it sure makes us all feel a little better.
I think you put that in the jersey of Marquise Morris.
I'm going to explode from anticipation.
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone News Update is brought to you by This Is Our Last Dance. This is ourselves. Under pressure. A man in California said he will fight for your right to let you know he's not happy with you. A woman in Oregon said the Californian came out in her today when she not only took the bus to work because she can't drive in snow, but also had to wear her beat-up Uggs since they were the warmest she owns. A man in Los Angeles said he is hazy on the rules, but is Ride Along 2 being released in time for awards consideration?
We're rolling back prices all over the store. Just look for Smiley to save even more. Walmart. Move them out, roll back. Always low prices. Yeah.
The following are real Yelp reviews from the Walmart Supercenter in Yucca Valley, California. EAH. 2 stars. The fitting room person, Stephanie, was extremely rude. She was talking to her friend and it took appreciate 15 minutes for my wife to get help, and when she got help, Stephanie slapped the closing amount number on the dressing room door and acted offended that she was interrupted. When my wife contacted the store manager, she said she would speak with Stephanie. We will not shop at this Walmart unless we have no other choice. June C. 1 star. Found condoms in my slippers I bought and called. They acted like it was normal. Once I found a pad in a purse. This place isn't sanitary. Might be 4 stars. Right now, probably the nicest, cleanest Walmart I've ever been in. Probably one of the biggest too. It won't stay that way after the high desert hillbillies fully get a hold of it, but it'll be nice while it lasts. Anyway, I am grateful to the forward thinkers who are putting this stuff out here. The hippies would surely love for this place to stay a desert hellhole, but for those of us who don't like going down the hill for everything, thank you. And finally, Jenilyn M. 1 star. The managers at this location are morons. Obviously they have no education. They told me that my product has to be the same picture on my coupon. Aren't we adults? The fine print says off any. Why does the manufacturer even bother to put a description if morons just looks at the picture, and if it doesn't match they won't take it? We are not in preschool, people. We don't need to look at pictures anymore. Didn't they teach people to read in elementary school, junior high school and high school? I wonder if the applications are in pictures since they are illiterate. We'd like to thank the experts for lending us their opinions on the Walmart Supercenter in Yucca Valley, California.
Those prices rolling, 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 roll back.
A man in Chicago said the only city sadder than St. Louis that they lost their football team is Cleveland, who have to keep theirs. A man in Los Angeles said he is worried the excitement over Star Wars is causing us to forget our outrage over that Starbucks cup thing. This Real to Someone News Update is brought to you by This Is Our Last Dance. This is ourselves under pressure.
Dad's got notebooks. We don't know what's in her notebooks. She's gonna show us all her notebooks. Little yellow pad.
I feel like I've been neglectful introducing myself in my notebook segments. Like I should say, hi, this is Deb, and welcome to Little Yellow Pad, where I go on an archaeological adventure through my notebooks. But I was always taught to start late in the story, so I'm never going to do that again. All right. Anyway, I'm holding this version of a notebook from the 90s. It's a literal yellow pad, and that's when I was living in San Francisco. I was taking film classes at SF State. I worked in San Francisco and in Sacramento, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, not like now when I have it all figured out and I'm super successful and famous. Anyway, there's no date on this page, but it's a list, go figure, of sound cues from a documentary I was working on. Documentary is a very generous word, but I am going to call it that anyway. So my friend Laura and I went on a trip to Ithaca, New York, because she was moving there to take care of her grandmother. So I told her I would go with her because I'm a sucker for road trips. And apparently I'm also a glutton for punishment because apparently I thought it would be a very inspiring thing to take the Greyhound bus back from the East Coast to California, which, sounds much cooler than it was. Okay, I know it doesn't sound cool at all, but trust me when I say it sounds much cooler than it was. I also had this idea to do this documentary about the trip, so I bought an old Super 8 camera to get a real authentic look because there's not enough examples of that original idea. And the thing about Super 8 film is that any time, maybe after the 70s, the only place you can get it is a specialty house. So I only had enough film to get me most of the way across the country, and it was silent Super 8, so I also had to use a tape recorder for sound. So my film was a bunch of shots of burrows in Yellowstone, an auction in Wyoming, traffic cones, and my sound is, the bus driver telling jokes in Ohio and stoners in Michigan talking about universal health care, which, by the way, P.S., things never change. The title of my artistic work was Road, so R-O-A-D, R-O-D-E, which I want to mock, but I secretly think is a great title, and I may have to steal it for myself. So something I didn't get on film or tape, though, was probably the most informative part of the trip, which was when this guy got kicked out of the bus in Utah for smoking in the bus bathroom. At 3 a.m, they just booted him in front of some closed business in the middle of Salt Lake City. And, I had no idea that there were actually rules on the Greyhound because, look, I don't want to make fun of people who ride a Greyhound bus across the country because clearly I'm the kind of person that rides a Greyhound bus across the country. But if you really want to get to know people, after riding Greyhound for 2,000 miles, you will really know them. And that might make you understand things like this election year a little better. And that might not make you happy, but it will give you context for your unhappiness. Anyway, I still have the movie. Looking at the sheet, I actually stuck to it pretty well. But I did realize after reading this list that I did change one thing. The last note I have on this, it says, "End with Laura quote, 'If you don't get out of my face, I'll kill you.'" Which, quite frankly, and honestly, half the time my friends' work stories I'm sending to John and Travis start that way. So it's, just generally a go-to quote. Anyway, I just want to end this by saying thanks for the adventure to my friend Laura. Howdy to Crazy Bill in Gillette, Wyoming. And always take antibacterial wipes with you on the bus. Have a nice week.
I've brought bread
to men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
So this is about me going to Cuba. Okay. All right. So the first charter flights from the U.S. to Cuba just started, and it got me thinking about my trip to the communist island back in 2005. While it has been forbidden for U.S. tourists to travel to Cuba, I was issued a visa as a journalist and was eager to see Cuba before it eventually becomes Disneyland after the embargo gets completely lifted one of these days. I remember going through customs in Havana, handing over my U.S. passport to get stamped, but they wouldn't do it. I was thinking, I have a visa, I have permission to be here, but they wouldn't stamp it, which was probably a good thing in the long run. This was just after George W. Bush was reelected, and it was funny because if you said you were American, people would automatically question how you could vote for Bush. But if you said you were from California or Los Angeles, they loved you. Actually, Cubans love Americans. They just weren't fans of President Bush. My impressions from that trip were meeting the sweetest and most welcoming people, marveling at pristine, classic American cars like I had traveled back in time, eating delicious food, including the best garlic shrimp, and savoring my soon-to-be favorite Havana Club rum. I remember years later being in Paris for 3 nights and we drank 3 bottles of Havana Club. It's that good. It's my absolute favorite rum, if not liquor in the world. And while I'm not a smoker, having a master Cuban cigar roller roll my very own cigar right in front of me and then get to smoke it, that was a treat. One of my fondest memories, I remember going for ice cream at Havana's Copelia, one of the largest ice cream parlors in the world. It was featured in the film Strawberry and Chocolate. Because I speak Spanish, I was able to get my way into the Cuban-only section, which is not allowed as locals and tourists are often kept apart, usually by armed guards. I actually shocked some people when I told them I was American. They asked if I had moved to Cuba. I remember thinking it was odd that there were only 2 menu items, ice cream and salad, ensalada. I chose the ice cream, of course, and enjoyed 4 large scoops of rich vanilla ice cream. I was a little disappointed and then devastated when I found out that the salad was actually an ice cream sundae. Damn those little differences, the way Quentin Tarantino would say. Part of the problem sitting in the locals section is that I had to pay with Cuban money, and I only had the convertible, kind of like the euro. So when I paid, the waitress went crazy and was screaming and yelling and running all over the place because she couldn't make change. And her boss told her since she let me sit at the counter, she had to take my money and give me change or it was coming out of her pocket. I gave her a nice tip for her trouble, and some of the people around me told me that I shouldn't because she was rude to me. But I didn't mind. I loved the experience, and the ice cream was good too. I remember I was a little nervous before my trip, but someone told me, don't worry, if something were to happen to a tourist, Castro would make that person disappear. Well, I don't know about that, and a lot of good that would do me after the fact. But the times, they are a-changing. That was 10 years ago. And sooner than later, Americans will be able to travel freely to Cuba and probably even get to sit next to Cubans at counters. I'm really happy I got to go when I did. It makes me want to go again before it gets overrun with tourists and commercialism. I really don't want to see Havana become Disneyland, at least not without me enjoying it in all its glory at least one more time to write about it. And believe me, if I could, I'd raise a glass of a Cuba Libre in the air and say, cheers, salud.
That was Jose Martinez. Thanks, Jose.
Great work, Jose. Very professional.
I know.
Really, somebody's got their ish together.
I was going to say, no, of course, what a shock, a friend Deb's. But he actually
Right.
put some, he scripted it.
Yeah, it was nice.
Well done, Jose.
Really,
Thank you, sir.
I felt like I was in Cuba.
Yeah. No, it was a good, it painted a, I don't want to say a lovely picture, but,
Picture.
it was definitely accurate. It put you there.
Right. Yeah, I was, I've always been, I've always been interested in Cuba because of the baseball defections. I love the old cars. Like that's got to be so cool to see these 50s cars just driving around. I remember Bourdain did an episode down there, and I was just kind of not blown away. I knew kind of what the culture was like, but there's a lot more going on than what we see on the surface, I guess.
It did remind me of why I'm nervous to travel to countries I don't know the language. Just to have even sitting at a place where you had ice cream and the waitress starts flipping out because they can't make change. If you didn't speak the language, you wouldn't know what the hell was going on.
Right. Yeah.
And especially in a country like that where there's, you're right to feel a little afraid as a tourist. You don't really, you could disappear.
Yeah, you never know. It's not, especially just because of the history of the two. You never know.
No, I know. That's why yeah.
That's always the fear rhetoric of traveling. But then most people who travel are not afraid at all. It's once you get over that hump and you just do it, you're like, oh, okay, it's just normal people everywhere.
I guess it really makes me wish I knew
every once in a while you get a
Spanish.
nightmare story. How long have you worked in a restaurant and you still don't know Spanish?
Well, if I need like the bathroom or more bread, I'd probably be okay. But I think
you don't think you know enough? Do you know like some verbs? Can you get around?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've never taken it as a class, so I actually have no idea how to really structure anything.
Oh, you were one of those kids that grew up in Arizona and you took like
I
French?
literally took French for 2 years like an idiot.
You're the worst. The worst people. I'll just say all the Cuban things I know. Aroldis Chapman, new Yankees closer.
Yeah.
What else do I know Cuban? Yasiel Puig.
Scarface?
Yeah, he goes down to Cuba.
He's from Cuba. Not the rapper, the movie.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, that was you ever left the country?
I think we've talked about this. Mexico like twice. That's it. And that was before you needed a passport to go.
Oh yeah, we probably talked about this with all of Deb's amazing travels, and we're both like, yeah, we've been to Mexico.
Yeah.
It's lame. Although we were just looking up today, there's a new like Icelandic airline or something flying out. You can get a one-way ticket to like Paris for $199 or something right now. It's pretty crazy. So look up this Icelandic airline. I don't even know what it is, but Air Iceland, we'll say.
Fair enough.
We'd like to thank Jose, of course.
Jose, thank you, sir.
Big shout out to Jesse and Deb as always. Who else we got to thank?
Let's think everyone that buys things on Amazon from us.
Yeah, people been clicking through on Amazon.
For sure.
We thank you so much. This week we had a Whitner bottle wine cooler bought there. Very nice.
Ooh.
I've got a Bristol 5-light chandelier. Ooh, somebody's really upgraded their house. A wine cooler and a chandelier.
I got a couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja
favorite.
Turtles.
Oh, that's all.
Michelangelo and Donatello.
Like toys or movies?
Toys.
This might be my favorite. Nando's Premium or Nando's Medium Peri Peri sauce.
Ooh.
Wow. I want some peri peri sauce. Sounds good.
Rick Derby's never-ending quest to get me to like Slipknot. That's on there.
He just sends you Slipknot albums or what?
What's the one listed on here? The Gray Chapter. He sent me that.
Are you not into Slipknot?
It's really not my thing, man. It's hard. It's just not. It's just too much screaming.
It's too heavy and too.
I don't mind a good metal scream, but it's got to be melodic and not painful.
It's got to be like Tool, where he builds up to a
I didn't want to say it because that's my go-to, but yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I could never say I don't really like heavy metal, but because I like Tool, but like it has to be really, really awesome, good heavy metal.
Yeah.
Which, obviously people who listen to heavy metal are like pulling their hair out because I don't know what I'm talking about.
But I'll give it a chance because he has presented me a ton of music in my past that I always disliked, but I have come around to some of it. So even if I fight it, I give it a shot.
He's working hard trying to get you to buy in a Slipknot after all these years. Yeah. Does he also listen to the to ICP? Is he an Insane
for
Clown
sure
Posse guy?
Probably not. I mean, probably not
Nice.
so much now, but in the day, like, oh my god, yeah.
Did he wear like big old like the giant?
No.
pants?
He wasn't a juggalo,
And
but he
chains?
did listen to some ICP.
Does Rick have like a clown tattoo on his face?
No,
I mean, I've seen pictures, but maybe
I just said he's not a juggalo.
Are his kids like little juggalos now? He's got like shaves their head into mohawks.
Oh man,
Zoe's
that's
got a
funny.
little mohawk.
It's not true, but that'd be hilarious.
Shout out to the juggalos. Where can the people find us, John Derby?
They can always find us at 86charles.com.
That's 86charles.com.
86charles.com.
On the Twitter or the Instagram, we're at Company Blaster. We're on iTunes. You can find us on the Stitcher app. That's about it. Big thanks to everybody one more time. And John, as always, are you going to leave me with just one word? One word.
Bowie.
This one's to you, David Bowie. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, sir.
The new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the